Well, still ahead, but bidding on a piece of the Bond action. Plus, reaching your peak, sporting jocks whip pen pushers into shape. That's after the break. Welcome back to World Business This Morning. IPO is a common concept in business, but what about PPO? It stands for Peak Performance Organizations, a theory developed by a group of researchers who work with 10 of the greatest sporting teams in the world. They've identified the team's winning methods and applied them to business. Here to tell us more is one of the co-authors of the book, Peak Performance, Clive Gilson. Clive, Professor Clive Gilson, I should call you. Who have you been talking to?
Well, it's true that when you investigate or research the top sport organisations in the world, you do come across some remarkable individuals. Jonah Lomu, Franz Beckenbauer, Sir Peter Blake, Michael Jordan, of course. But in truth, our real focus is the people in the organisation rather than the sport people themselves. Those are our heroes.
Well, what have you learnt from them? What do these sporting figures behind the scene, on the manager's bench and so on, do that you can copy in business?
I think one of the things that most corporates would really like to achieve is to get everybody on the same page, for everyone to be not in compliance mode, but in commitment mode. These organisations, these PPOs, have been able to do that. They know how to get everybody moving at the same time, in the same space, with vigour and innovation.
So it's really a question of defining the goals, as it were, to use a sporting analogy, because after all, I mean, for a football team, it's clear you go out there to beat the other teams, win the league, win the cup.
We call that peak purpose. We believe that the peak purpose involves an inspirational dream. Our organisations talk about dreams. They don't talk about visions and mission statements.
They talk hot air, isn't it? Dream, visionary dream, inspirational dream.
Not if it's coordinated with challenges and focus what they actually have to do on Monday.
But this isn't congenial to everyone. I mean, if you run every office, an office which is doing something fairly humdrum, and try and run that like a sports team, that's going to end up a bit laddish and pretty uncongenial to many members of that team.
Well, I think our focus, as I said, is organisation rather than team. These organisations are businesses in their own right, and so when we investigated them, we're looking at the razor-sharp nature of the sports industry and how that impacts on management practices. So I think in many ways, the sport organisation is where we should be looking for business inspiration.
But, of course, anyone who follows a team or follows a national side knows they have their off moments, those terrible defeats. I mean, you mentioned Jonah Lomu of the All Blacks. I mean, look what happened to the All Blacks.
Yeah. Well, our real interest is in sustained contention. I think the problem of recency is one which clearly upsets people who like to see their teams win all the time. But our interest is in sustained contention over a longer period of time, rather than assuming that you can win every game, because you can't.
OK, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Professor Clive Gilson, author of Peak Performance.